Hello, hello. So I have Harshal Patil, one of our Product Drive guests, today with me here. Harshal, am I pronouncing your name right?
Yeah, that's great, Amelia. It's Harshal.
Great, great, great to have you here. So Harshal is, can you say a few words about yourself? Like, I don't want to twist anything around. Yeah.
Yeah, happy to introduce myself. I did my maybe I'll go in a chronological order. So I studied electrical engineering for my undergrad at IIT Kanpur in India, and worked as an engineer at Qualcomm and Broadcom. And that it was around that time that I really started to see that apart from working on like building products, I was really motivated to see what's the impact of building these products on the end consumers or like on the customers. And so that's how I realized that, oh, if I could learn more about working on the business side of technology, I'd really be motivated to contribute more there. And that's how I found out about the product management role. So around that time, I then went for my MBA at UCLA Anderson in Los Angeles, California, and also did a few product management internships at Synergy Intellution, Cisco, Telesign, and that's how I really realized that being able to step into the role of a product manager really helped me develop and grow my skills of like working across different functions, understanding the differing perspectives of different functions or the customers, and like found that having a structure to tackle a chaotic situation really helped manage the work here. And so that's how then I from there joined full time as a product manager at Twilio. And at Twilio, I joined when we were around 800 people, and I saw it grow around 10x from 800 to 8,000 people over the next 3.5 years. And along with that growth came a lot of challenges and a lot of interesting situation where there's a bunch of like startup experiences, but a bunch of like enterprise experiences. And Twilio was really at a really interesting space because we had hundreds of thousands of customers, but a lot of our revenue came from a few large customers. So there's this B2B angle and B2C angle. So how do I work as a product manager overlapping both these spaces was an interesting challenge. And kind of something that really brought me to this talk was that we're talking about is that I joined as a product manager for one of the platforms inside, which provided accurate usage and billing data and visualizations to our customers. And given that as a platform product manager, I found it really crucial to make sure I'm able to grow beyond the role to learn more about the customer experience. And so when some project came by, I really jumped on it to learn more about how do we improve the customer experience. And over a year, I worked with many teams to drive down the customer support tickets by 40%. And it was along these months that I really learned a bunch of tips and tricks that seemed uncommon about measuring customer success and then improving on them. And so that a lot of those experiences form the backbone for the talk at Product Drive.
So that led you to come up with the topic of your talk, right? 4 tips to measure and improve customer experience using real product examples. What do you think is the importance of customer experience in modern B2B SaaS these days in 2022? So we don't want to give too many spoilers for your talk, but just kind of one fireside question.
Yeah, nowadays a lot of I think at the end of the day, no matter if you're selling a SaaS product or a hardware product, companies are realizing more and more that we are selling to humans. And humans, we primarily make our decisions based on our emotions. Whether you're selling to a stakeholder in a large company or whether you're selling to a consumer for an app on the phone. And so it really drives home the importance of how do you make someone feel when they're using your product at different stages of like when they just sign up for the product to when they're facing a challenge in the product and even when they are quitting your product. And so that drives home the importance of providing a good experience to your customers. And because companies often, there so many companies find it agree that providing a good customer experience is important. Just that it's also crucial, I guess, for companies to understand are you providing sufficiently good customer experience, or is that what you're saying, but you're trying to find ways to improve your business metrics? So some of the challenges I find companies often get into, and that's where I realized that focusing on the customer experience really eventually drives back kind of like it's a virtuous cycle where the better customer experience you provide, you're getting better word of mouth and better referrals, better long-term value from your customers.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what you just mentioned is super, super important because a lot of companies are thinking about what they can see, right? So the immediate savings on, skimping on customer experience, for instance, while they don't think about what they don't see, right? So the goodwill, the word of mouth that great customer experience provides. So it's funny we were talking about this because like just yesterday I had the worst ever customer experience of my life with Airbnb. So essentially, our host just didn't show up to give us the keys, and it was already quite late. The flight was delayed. So we arrived, after midnight, and then we spent the next 5 hours on the street, like talking to agent after agent after agent, and nobody was interested in resolving the problem. They were just interested in closing the ticket and passing the buck. And we heard that, oh, sorry, I'm just finishing my shift, and going away. Sorry, I will pass it on to my colleague. If you have any questions, you can reply to this thread in the chat. And what do you do if it's like 4 a.m.? There are no vacancies in hotels around because it's peak of the season. You booked, the Airbnb weeks ago, and it was just crazy, crazy bad experience. Right? I was pretty surprised because my first job ever out of uni was kind of customer facing role. It was in the collections department, so I was the bad cop for PayPal. And it was a very, very challenging job because obviously it was very confrontational, right? So immediately people had this sort of knee-jerk reaction to reject you and to argue with you that they shouldn't pay what they should pay. So it was very, very sensitive. But even in this like challenging situation, we were able to kind of go above and beyond to actually provide a positive customer experience. And I remember sometimes my manager did something completely against the terms and conditions to make sure the customer was happy. At one point, like pulling out his own credit card to pay off the debt that was incurred by, a lady that was basically scammed. It wasn't covered by, the protection policy. So I wonder what's your take on this? Like, yeah, does saving a few $100s make sense if the customer is so dissatisfied? It sounds almost like a rhetorical question to me. I was shocked that a company the size of Airbnb still just chose not to care.
Yeah, first of all, it sounds really heartbreaking to hear that you had such a tough time getting your Airbnb. Yeah, that does sound like a very hard experience to go through after a long flight and weeks of like booking everything weeks in advance. And I think and this is sort of like the root of the customer experience problem is that there are often these challenges that our customers or hosts or like either side of different marketplaces face, and it's like valuable for a company to find ways to measure this and then also improve on that. And kind of like the anecdote you mentioned about how your collections manager used their own credit card to pay off for some customer. That those kind of anecdotes really help build a culture of customer appreciation and customer centricity. And for example, I think even Zappos is known to be one of the leaders in providing a good customer experience. But even in their work, Pranishe talks about how he used to tell his customer support agents that if the amount that you need to waive off or you need to provide a discount is less than $10, $50, $100, whatever some number, just go ahead, don't ask for approvals. I've seen that same similar approach work in a few other companies, and that really shines for providing ownership and responsibility to your frontline team members. And this also applies on the other side. For example, you mentioned collections. A few years ago, I worked with the collections team in my company where uh, where the collections team was recently set up. So it was the very first time that customers who have not paid us for months are starting to get emails that, hey, we are not paid. If you don't pay, we'll cancel your service. You will stop being able to use our service. And that really freaked out customers. Customers were very unhappy about it. Now, how do you balance this? Like, it is something that we, in a way, do need to disrupt customers, but at the same time, we can't make it a negative experience for customers completely. So how do we balance that? So that's where we did a few customer conversations. We reviewed the kind of support tickets we are getting back from customers and identified a few like improvements. One ironic kind of improvement was that we used to send these automated emails from our collection team members. So it would look as if Amelia is emailing these 100 customers. And those 100 customers would then reply back and say, hey, this person at your company is emailing me. I don't know why is that person emailing me. And so instead of making it personal, we realized that if we make it impersonal and we add in the email, this is an automated email, customers were left less offended. So
Oh,
yeah. So that was a counterintuitive learning for me, and I feel like there are always these kind of like learnings that we keep coming across that we need to keep iterating over. There's
mhm.
another time where, like similar to what you mentioned, there can be times when we need to make changes that are disruptive for our customers. So, like for example, few years ago, an adjacent, the legal team was removing some features of our products. Now that's scary for customers. But then how do I put it across in such a way that we're minimizing this disruption for customers? How do we provide sufficient advance notice? How do we provide alternatives for them? So that really helps smooth over the disruption in this case.
Mm, yeah. I mean, what you mentioned is really quite interesting because everyone is preaching about personalization. What you just said is that sometimes depersonalizing certain experiences actually works better. Um, yeah, I mean, it's as you said, it's a matter of trial and error and finding that golden middle between sort of your business objectives and customer experience, customer satisfaction. Although it's very hard to measure, so I'm super curious about your talk because as I said, there are the things you see directly, like the savings, and there are things you don't see, like for instance, the fact that my partner went on social media and he had 60,000 of impressions on people's posts about like how Airbnb is treating customers, and dozens and dozens of people sharing their negative experience, and others saying, "Oh my gosh, thank you for warning me," right? So the loss of income that will never be seen and that will never be accounted for by Airbnb as a result of these, customer complaints and sort of bad PR is something that is hard to, measure as well. So I'm super curious how you tried to account for that as well.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and that this is a very challenging situation. So the way I think of it is two things here. One is that there'll always be social media mentions of challenges, and something that I found work well, and I'm trying to develop this for a customer that I'm working with right now, is through my consulting business, is that how do we find triggers or like some kind of monitoring solutions that keeps notifying us for any positive or negative mentions of our products on like Twitter or and like all the other social media platforms, so that we are able to respond to these comments and provide either one, we have to be aware of it so that we are taking that feedback into consideration. Two, we might be able to resolve it. Maybe it's a big problem for our customers, but it's a very small thing for us to do to make the day for the customers. So let's be aware of it so that we can choose whether to act on it or not and how to act on it. The second thing is, as you mentioned, some of these things are really hard to figure out. Is that what are the metrics that we want to build and like flesh out so that we are aware of the success of our customers in different ways. Like some things are not easy to measure. Like one of the things was when I launched a product, we didn't find a lot of customers. It was the product was launched to reduce the number of support tickets, but we didn't see the support tickets reducing at all. So then I looked at, well, if that's not reducing, what are some other ways I can find out whether there's any traction to this product? And so that's kind of what I'm also working on with the current client of mine is how do I find intermediate and leading indicators of progress? Whether it's that customers even open the emails or notifications that we're sending them? Are they even clicking on the links? Are they trying to click on the product? Or what else are they doing? Are they posting about it on forums or Reddit and so on? So definitely gets tricky to measure some things, and that's where more ingenuity comes into play to find new ways to do it.
Gotcha. Yeah. So basically, there's no one universal way to measure it and to do it, and kind of each company needs to iterate and come up with their own leading metrics, as you said.
Completely.
Super
And
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
and because the metrics which are universal across companies like revenue or NPS,
Yeah.
they are lagging indicators. They are also output metrics. So they will change even if you don't do something, and they'll change much later from when you do something. So that's where it
Mm,
gets crucial for companies to identify for a product that they're working on, for the feature they're building, what are leading indicators.
wow. Yeah. Super interesting. Thank you so much, Harshal. So I won't be spoiling the talk anymore for our viewers. Everyone, please sign up for Harshal's talk on Product Drive. We're kicking off on the 4th of October, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your full presentation. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And
Thank you, you too,
we'll say
Emilia, and
bye.
hopefully the Airbnb challenges get resolved.
Thank you. Bye.